can just be 20 minutes of us looking at postcards.
What happened?
No, we can just take 20 minutes to look at postcards. That can be the session. There was one I saw I thought you'd like. You seen this?
I don't want to go to space. Yeah, I don't blame you if you know anything about what they're doing to you, yeah. They don't want to go to space. I don't want to. Well, you can send Beatty and me. We're interested. We'll take your place. As long as it's not a one-way
ticket.
Yeah. Which it was for a lot of those early space creatures. Did you think we were going to get these many cards when we started this?
No. I had no idea. I kind of thought maybe nothing would show up. That would be a little sad.
I thought it could go a couple different directions, yeah. And I think the thing that impresses me most is how creative a lot of these cards are. It's like a lot of people, that they may not be artists full time, but they can be artists long enough to do an amazing card, that's for sure.
This is a kid, I guess. I think there were a lot of kids that sent them in as well, which is cool.
Damon. Damon is proud to be an American. That's a good one.
How about you? What was it like having all the cards showing up?
Well, okay. Yeah, it was fun to go to the the mailbox down there, and there'd be like a big full box every day. You'd go, wow, some people paid attention, because I admit I'm not that internet savvy as others, and like, for instance, I guess now I'll never get a chance to see a Donald Trump twit or Facebook or whatever one he did. Tweet. I never saw any of his tweets. I never went there, so I had no idea what to expect. I didn't know if people paid attention to that stuff, and apparently they do. It's a kind of a, well, here we are. Grandpa's catching up with the rest of the world on the internet. Yeah, it's like I end up spending so much time just kind of working on my own things that I miss out on a lot of stuff that goes on in the world. It's like, I remember, 4 years ago or so, and I finished a movie, and I said, Anita, who won the election? And she goes, you don't want to know. It was the kind of thing where you went, is the president kidding when he says, let's get rid of the post office? And then you look and you see they're actually doing things to try and dismantle the post office.
They took out all the sorting machines, like 70 sorting machines?
In retrospect, it looks like it was like foreseeing the fact that a lot of people that don't want to go to a post office or don't want to go to a voting center during a pandemic were going to end up mailing things in. And I think the less votes, the better was kind of the thought on the side of the president's team. But to say things like removing the post office kind of really was shocking to me, because I've lived in the United States for 70 years now, and I'm kind of, although there's things where it goes in and out of things where you get stuff in the mail and you go, I wish they would have just left this back at the post office instead of bringing it to me. There's always stuff that is good. And then you think about the whole country, it's diverse. It's not, when you live in a big city, it's one thing, but if you're in Wyoming and if there was no post office, it would be serious. And so just the fact that you couldn't really tell, how serious it was, it kind of made me, well, you're the one who brought it up. You're the one who first came up with this idea, you know. And when you said, let's do something for the post offices, it rang a bell for me. You know, I have this other thing. I draw on card-sized paper, and it started off as postcards because of mail art, which was something that was big long before there were computers, and it was a way for artists to communicate with no money, and it was semi-public because, you know, you'd turn it into a post office, and then there'd be a sorter that would look at it, and then there'd be somebody at the next station that would see it, and then there would be a deliverer that would pick it up and look at it and then put it in their bag and maybe read it while they're putting it in your, and
it had a whole journey.
Right, it had a journey to it that involved, you know, an audience of sorts, which, I don't know, I found that kind of interesting about mail art. And so the idea of asking people to kind of get involved in something that was pretty archaic at this point. I mean, although there still are organizations that are very active in mail art, you know, for the most part, everybody, you know, just don't even know about it. Like my kids, they, you know, they're like, why would you use the mailbox? You know?
Do your kids ever post anything?
They have now, yeah.
Yeah.
And they came in and saw the postcards, and they were really impressed. They were like, wow, who knew there were these many people that wanted to send a card? And
well, I think it was just it was kind of an outlet, you know. It felt like something that everyone could get involved with, and it's the cost of a stamp, you know, like a 35-cent stamp, and obviously they were sending them to us, which was wonderful. But I think also just reminding people that they can use this great service, and it brings so much joy. And I know a lot of people that, you know, we got a lot of messages from people just saying what a great kind of mental health activity it is, sitting down and making something and sending it to someone.
Right, that at least it's traveling, even if you aren't, while we were all locked down, yeah.
Instead of, you know, all the social media algorithms and all that crap.
Right, and when you look at something on your phone or on your laptop, it seems less permanent than an actual physical object.
Tangible, Mark.
Something that, you know, you can touch and you can smell. You know, and you know where it came from.
But also, I think, you know, not knowing what's going to come in, I think that whole sort of delayed gratification, you know, we get so used to getting instant responses. You know, you send someone a message and you're kind of waiting for immediate feedback, or you make a song and you're waiting for the world to, you know, congratulate you. And I feel like with mail, it's this thing that you don't even know if it's going to get there. And so then also when it comes through the door, like, it's such a nice surprise because you didn't know someone was sending you something necessarily. So like when you were sending, you know, post art back to back in the days to other artists, you didn't necessarily think you were going to get anything back, right?
You didn't know. You just kept your fingers crossed.
Yeah. And why do you think? I mean, obviously the idea of this was supporting USPS and having people just be connected. You know, giving people a way of being connected, sort of physically, to something and, you know, to one another. So it was sort of this collective art demonstration. But what about the vote aspect of it? Because you mentioned that, you know, a lot more people would be voting from home. How big a part did mail play, do you think, in this election?
Oh, it probably made all the difference. It seems like it. It seems like such a high percentage of people did vote by mail this year. It never happened like this before. And it seems like a lot of the people that were thinking alike or were voting for the same person all voted the same way, and it seemed to have made a difference. I think I don't know if you took all the mail art out. I don't know if anybody's all the mail votes out. I don't know if there probably is, right? Probably somebody's done that number too, because everybody's crazy about everything. So I don't know. Do you know?
Well, that seemed to swing it. I mean, the mail vote was the decider.
Are you thinking what I'm thinking? It was you and me kind of.
Saved America.
We won this election, yeah. Yeah, it's possible. Well,
Mark, I wasn't going to say
had a
anything,
little,
but,
we had a little thing. Wow, what's this one? Ode to Putin.
No.
Look at that. That's great, whatever that is.
Oh my God.
I don't know what that is, but that's pretty good.
Yeah, so some people have still sent them after more recently. I think that's what's really interesting is you see all these themes. You see Ruth, after she passed away, and you see the environmental themes and the you see the environmental themes and obviously the kind of political ones, and then Black Lives Matter and Women's March. You see all these different themes, which is really amazing, and it sort of reflects the different months of the project. It's almost like you almost kind of have a calendar of what was going on in the last year through these cards, which I think is so cool. It's like a documentation.
I wonder what the total count is of cards that came in. I don't even know what the count is. Thousands and thousands.
So this is obviously a recent one.
There you go. There's somebody who had something to say. Here's a delicious looking card. Some nice cheese-covered corn chips. 2 years ago, I wouldn't have guessed that you would be interested in this, because your art to me is more connected to, super high tech and like the far limits of thought. And this is so much more like homely, in a good way, It's like potato tech or something, And your music projects are all further out there. You're kind of more into outer space. So, yeah, I like that. I found that interesting that you would suggest doing this. And, being partly lazy, I thought, well, it's easy for me. I'm already there, So this came out to be a nice experience.
I have a real, soft spot for anything that is anything tangible, anything that has a sort of ceremony to the experience, and anything that tells a story. So, with the other stuff I do, it's all about figuring out these tangible formats for this digital age, and kind of thinking about how you can almost reimagine a vinyl experience for today. So, it's these decks of cards and these theatre for the palm of your hand and things like that. And I think I just always loved mail as well. So during lockdown, I was just sending mail all the time. Like, it was the one thing that was kind of keeping me sane. And then anytime we'd chat, you'd be drawing on a card or something. And we'd obviously had a conversation about doing something, doing a collaboration. And then when everything happened with, USPS getting attacked, and when it all looked kind of dire, it just felt like a great place to put one's energy. Because I think beyond, the sort of democracy angle and the vote angle, I just think mail is such a wonderful connector. And I think there are so many things that we, with technology, technology is so good at fast tracking stuff, but it also shortchanges us on a lot of things. And I think mail is one of those things that actually brings so much more joy than, text messages or emails or anything like that. So if we've done a project that can also remind people of the value of these things that are hidden in plain sight, I feel delighted. What's the strangest thing you've ever received in the mail?
Oh, I don't know what the strangest one is, but the most dangerous, I think, was I reached into an envelope once and my hand got cut up and I pulled it out and somebody had sent me a crucifix made out of double-edged razor blades and had somehow attached them all together so it was like in a crucifix shape, but the package was stiff enough you couldn't see what you were doing till you were already in there and committed to slicing your finger.
Did this person not like you? Was this a friend of yours?
This was Devo fan mail. It was that's probably the weirdest one I got.
I got a letter from my grandfather who'd passed away. So it came after he died, and there was blood on the envelope.
Oh.
And it was a birthday card for me.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, the end times and mail. Yeah, my request is, it may seem modest, but I just even tried to get my friend's skull back from the mortuary after he passed away, and it's harder to get a skull of a friend of yours.
What do you want to do with it?
Keep it. Nelson I love Nelson. I thought he was a cool guy, and he was one of the smartest people I knew, and I just wanted to keep his skull.
Just on display?
Yeah, well, I'm sure there's some states where it would be easier than California, because they probably have to deal with this more often here than in other places. So they've already got and the guy at LA Moore, he did tell me that, well, here's what I would do. If you really want the skull, donate his body to a medical school, make friends with students that are in the classes that might possibly be cutting him up, and then pay them to give you the skull when they're done.
What did his family think about this?
What?
What did his family think?
He had not much in the way of a family. He had a couple daughters that he hadn't seen for a long time. He was, so there was nobody else wanted his skull. I was the only one who wanted it. But it wasn't easy. Now, on the other hand, in Ohio, you can get buried practically anywhere you want. If you want to be buried in your front yard, I think you can. And my secret request has been, if I get to have anything to do with my burial, I would like to be buried with one leg sticking out of the ground.
Why?
I just like it because it's, first off, it's just the whole idea of just otherwise being totally mummified and stuck in a box underground just seems suffocating in a way, and I like the idea of just like one last hurrah goodbye. I'd maybe request, if I own a nice watch at the time, which I don't right now, I just have one of these kind of BS-y Apple watches, but if I had a nice watch, I'd say put it on my ankle, and just have one leg with a shoe and a pant leg and a watch on the ankle, sticking out of my grave. All right, how many postmen do you think are also in a band?
I don't know.
See, we could work on having our own little, section of South by Southwest where it's just postal worker bands.
Yeah.
Well, one of the greatest of all time that passed is John Prine. John Prine was a mailman.
He was a mailman.
Yeah. So it's dedicated to John.
Yeah.
Gone now.
All the best people are mailmen.
That's a good way to stop it. All deaf people are mailmen.
Yeah, we'd been talking about different things we could do and having this similar kind of appreciation of old tangible formats like the lost art of, you know, postcard writing, and then just seeing Mark's love of mail art and realizing that for me during lockdown, that was the one thing keeping me sane, hot off the press. Also just reminding everyone about, you know, our right to vote, which it should be a fundamental right.
Just that even somebody could say, maybe we get rid of the post office, you know, it just seems so shocking and illogical to me that it made me really want to be a part of this. And yeah, my art's been connected to post art since late 60s. There's Smokey. The dog of William Wynn went through 150 air raids, flew 12 air-sea rescue missions, and weathered a typhoon at Okinawa.
Wow.
All right, Smokey.
Yeah, we'll do an online gallery. We're gonna do a physical installation as well of some kind. And then there's actually a really exciting idea that combines man and the machine, technology and art, to create a sort of synchronized visual piece with music. So yeah, there are going to be a few different outputs of how we'll present these. So it's Postcards for Democracy, 8760 Sunset Boulevard, West Hollywood, CA, and then the postcode is 90069. But if you want to go online to the website, and also you can send in via email, it's postartfordemocracy.com.
Right.